Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time watching this channel or you're already a subscriber, then welcome to this Canvas Workspace project of the week. Now today I have a project that is a 3D project. This is the first in this series that I've done. The other three projects have all been cards. So I'm going to change it up just a little bit today. I think you're going to find that it's quite straightforward. It's really cute. And of course you don't have to make it into an Easter project. You could make it into one for any occasion, because this is going to be for a basket. So I'm going to use mine as an Easter basket. It gives us an opportunity not only to create our own shapes, but we can also borrow from Canvas Workspace preloaded projects. So to find out what it's all about, stick with me and I'll show you how. Here we have Canvas Workspace. This is the download version. And before we even put our shapes onto the artboard, I'm going to direct you over to the project page. This is for Canvas projects and any pattern collections which you can purchase. But we're going to go here and bring up the projects. Here are the pattern collections, as well as the that's the Disney one. Those are ones that you purchase, but these are free for anyone to use, and you can edit them in any way you like. You can take elements from them, add to them, change them however you please. So that's what we're going to do with our Easter basket. So in this search engine, I'm going to type Easter, and you'll see here a series of preloaded projects that Brother has already created, that you can simply follow along exactly as they are, or, as I said before, you can edit them however you like. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to first choose the Easter wall ornament, because I want these three bunnies here. That's under E. So that's the only part of this file that I want. And you'll see it's processing, and when it stops, if you just pull that over, you'll see that those bunnies are on there, as well as the other elements on that page. But don't worry about those at the moment. Let's go back to Canvas Project and get these Easter eggs. They're under the Easter card. Now, of course, if you're not doing an Easter basket, you want to do something different, then you can add whatever you like or create whatever you like. But I'm just going to select these three eggs here. I don't want this, because this is to form this card which has those all connected. So I just need B. And the same thing happens again with those. That's everything I want, so I'm going to just close this down and go back over to our page. Now anything I don't want, I can select and delete. And then I can move these off to the side, and we can go back to those later on. We'll start with the first side of the basket, and then I'm going to duplicate it after this has all been created. So I'm going to bring a square in, and then I'm going to go to Edit and to the width and height. I want it 7 3/4 in width and 5 inches in height. So that means I've got to tick this maintain aspect ratio off so that I can change those independent of each other. So 7.75 and 5. To fill it, just to make it a little easier to see. And I'm also going to place it up here in the corner so that I can put my score line in. So put it at 0. And I'll also lock that in place so it doesn't move about. And I was going to put the score line in now, but I think I'm going to wait. And first I'm going to show you the glue tabs that you need for the bottom of this. And what I'm going to use is a polygon. I'm going to use this one because I want these to form little glue tabs all along the bottom here, because that is going to help it to bend around the bottom, because we want as round as we can get it. It won't be perfectly round, but it will be very, very close. So we need this sort of configuration in order to wrap it round. And I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, so I'm going to just change the width to, I think I can get by with 1/2 inch, and I might just take it down a little more than 90. I might go down to, say, 80.80 in height. Now let me just zoom in here so you can see. So there's the first one. We need to make a series of these that are going to go along the bottom. And they are going to go with the smaller end, this in here, on this side, like so. So now all I have to do is go to duplicate, and I'm going to duplicate this 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I will select them and align them, and I can align them either to the top or to the bottom. It doesn't really matter. And you can see that they are, at the moment, all overlapped, but I don't need that. I need them to actually be separated. So I'll go to distribute space and the horizontal spacing. Now at the moment it's 1 inch, but we need to change that because that's too much. So go down to 0.25 and click on horizontal distribute space, and you can see that it's going to fit nicely along that bottom there. So at this point you want to group that, and you're going to want to overlap that. So what I'm going to do though is go back here and unlock this, because in order to weld this I'm going to need that unlocked. So I'm going to align it so that it's centered there. And then I can just use my arrow key to bring that down. That should be all right. Let's try that, and let's weld this now. So we have the glue tabs that are going to go along the bottom there. Okay, now I can go back and put this up in the corner again. And we can add score lines. So I'll put it at 0 and 0. And now I'll lock it. So I'm going to bring in the path tool, hold the shift key down, and create a score line. Need to change that to a score line rather than a line that's going to be cutting through. And all I'm going to do is make sure that it doesn't go past or actually right up to the edge here. I want to bring it in just a bit so that there's no danger of that cutting through. Because what we're creating here is a tab for our glue or our adhesive, if that's liquid glue or indeed tape. So now we can use the X and Y to position it. I'm going to put it at 1/2 inch. So that is our score line to create our glue tab. We need one along here as well. So for that, I'm going to make another score line. And this one is going to go along here, just at that bottom there. So that should be 5 inches. Yes, it is. At 5 inches on the Y. And I also want to just bring it in a little so it doesn't extend beyond there. So those are our score lines. Now we'll unlock this so that we can group this together and we can duplicate it. So the back of this basket is going to be this solid piece. This next piece here is where our bunnies come into play. So I'm going to go over here and find those. I think they're up here. Yep. And I'm going to bring those in. I need to bring them to the front so I can see them. And I want those to fit in this section here between the glue tab and then the end of here. So let's bring this down. Let's see. Seems pretty good there. Might go up just a tiny bit. And I'm just going to pretty much eyeball where that is. And once I have it where I want it, then I can cut it out of this piece that's behind. Now to do that, I need to make sure that I've ungrouped this first, because otherwise I'm going to get that error message that there's an open path. In fact, I'll show you just quickly if you like. If I try at this point to use the overlap process, then I get the selected objects include open paths or self-intersecting paths. So these score lines here are open paths, so this will not work. So what we have to do, or at least the easiest way to get around this, is just to ungroup it. Let me just ungroup this part. I'm going to ungroup this. And then I can select the bunnies and the back piece here and go to divide. And the reason I'm using divide rather than subtract, because subtract, when you do that, it will actually eliminate those bunnies, so you won't have essentially a duplicate copy. I mean, it will still work exactly the same as far as cutting it out of your machine, but that helps me to keep a copy of these and not have to go back into the Canvas projects and find them again and recreate them. So I'm going to use divide. And whoops, let's make sure I go back. Just move them out of the way here. I'll send that to the back. And now I can group this. So we have the front, which is going to have these cutouts, and then what you can do is put some pattern paper behind it, or you could use maybe fabric or felt or whatever you like. So the other thing I want to do with mine is to use these eggs to decorate. And I think, let me bring them, make them a little bit smaller. Maybe more than that, because I don't want them to interfere with the handle that we're going to be making. Just a little bit more. Why? Now, what I plan on doing then is to bring these onto the eggs, and then I can glue those on and have a little more interest. So that's going to go, it's going to be glued onto this back here. And if I want those a different size, I can do that as well. So I'll just bring them all down together, and I can make them a little bit smaller. And then I'll just save them here on my page. And I have my eggs. Now I could just make one and then duplicate them on the machine later, but I'm just going to put all of them in here so you know how many we need to make. So the next thing we need to do, though, is to make a handle. And the handle is quite simple. It's just going to start with a square here. And we'll bring that into 1 inch wide. And the height, I think I'm going to make mine 10 inches. You could make yours 11, you could make it 12, whatever you like. So there's my handle. And let's put that pink on there. And then I'm also going to make a mat for this, or a layer that I can place on top of here. You don't have to do that. You could decorate this with something else if you wanted to, or just leave it alone. You know, it's going to depend on, you know, what you're making your basket from. You might have a very pretty card or paper that you want to use and not even be bothered with another layer to glue on top. But I'm going to do that, and I'm just duplicate that, and then I'm going to make it a little smaller, so I'm going to come down to 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to make it 9.5 inches. If I make this a different color, you'll get a better idea of how this is going to look then. And then you will be able to put your brads, if you like, in there. I could make this even shorter if I want to. Let's see. Might just make that a little shorter. Maybe I'll go down to 9.25. I think I like that very much. So I have my handle as well as my layering piece for it. Let's zoom out. So we've got all those elements on there. Move those inside of the red area so that we can cut this out. And that is what you need to make your Easter basket, or your basket for whatever occasion you're going to use it for. So I'm going to send this to the machine now, and after I've got it all cut out, then I will show you what we'll do next. See you in a bit. All the pieces have been cut out now, so I'm ready to assemble the basket, and I'll just show you what I've got here. I've got some brads, which I'm going to use to attach the handle. You can just glue it on if you like, but I'm going to use these brads because then that means I can move that handle back and forth. I've got the little eggs and the bunnies, which were cut out of the middle of this panel here. I've just glued those on, those eggs. I've got a circle for the bottom of the basket, and what I've done is I've also cut it out in craft card, and I glued one to the back of this one just to give it some added strength, and then this I'm going to put on the bottom. I've got the handle, and I've got the holes on either end for the brads to go through, and then I've just got this strip here to layer the handle. You don't have to do that. You could leave that part out if you want. So I've got the back panel, and I've got the front panel with all the bunnies on it. Now what I want to do is I want to give this, oh, and I'll also show you what I did was take a scrap piece of this matching card here and glued it to the back, and then covered it over with the rectangle. So if you wanted to, if you wanted to cut that out of colored cardstock, you could do that. But I just had enough to fill those in, so I decided rather than just use a rectangle in a different pattern, I would use this. And then I've also made sure that I've glued down any sort of edges that might lift up around each of those bunnies. So I'm going to take a can here. I'm going to use this to roll this panel into shape, just to get it started here. I'm going to do the same with this one. Roll that just to bend that gently
like so. Right. Now when I put this back piece on, I was sure that I didn't go past that score line there, so that I can fold that over, and I'm just going to burnish that. There's also a score line on this piece as well. You can just continue to manipulate this now to get more of a curve. I may have to go back in and do a little more gluing in there, so it's starting to lift a bit. I'll do that very quickly. Okay. Now what we're going to do is attach these sides. So I want to put my adhesive on the outside of those tabs so that that folded in part sits inside. And because this is a coated paper, I'm going to use some red liner tape rather than my liquid adhesive. And I'm going to match those up now as well. So you might just have to lift this up a bit, but you can see that score line, or at least I can. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but I can see that quite well. And then I'm going to press it down. Okay, so that is finished. Now these little tabs here on the bottom are what help it to curve round. You'll find the same thing in sewing. When you come to, if you need to sew a circle or you need to go round a corner, you can cut little tabs like that and it will help it. So now I want to start to work this. Just gently push it, and I'm going to take my insert for the bottom and push it down into place. So it should be a tight fit. That's what you want. You can take your scissors, go around like so. And you want these tabs then to be on the bottom like that. You can glue each of these down individually, or at least some of them if you like, or you could just attach your bottom to this. I'm going to make sure that is in there. this is going to go over the bottom like that. So I might glue some of these down just to give it a tiny bit more stability. This might not be the ideal glue to use for this because it can take a little while for it to hold. But of course, once that pressure is on from the bottom piece, then that's going to start to set. So I'll go ahead and get this glued on. Just going to go around it. And I'll also put adhesive in the middle. This is going to make that bottom of the basket stronger and also secure those tabs. And now I'm just going to flip it over and then use the handle of my scissors to press that into place. I can even go in with my hand. Just make sure that's all pressed down like so. It's shifted just a bit, so I'm going to move that over. I'm going to do the handle, so what I'm going to do is take these brads and just put those through the hole there that I've created. Little punch if you've got one, like maybe you've got a crocodile, and then you need to poke where you want that to go. Find the other, there's the other. In fact, I'm going to use my crocodile to punch through the basket, or you could use a little pokey tool of some sort. Then I have these little bunnies that I cut out, which are from the cuts in the front. So what I can do is just put them on the back there. So there you have your Easter basket, a sweet and really very uncomplicated 3D project, which doesn't even have to be used for Easter. This could be a basket for really any occasion or for any gift giving as well. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you will give the 3D Easter basket a go yourself. Be sure that you come back next week for the next project of the week. I haven't quite decided what that's going to be yet, but it should be out by Monday at the very latest. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so today. I would love to see you every week, and I hope that you will join me. Until we meet again then, please take care, and bye for now. Bye.